Happy 25th anniversary, everyone. It's a great time to get laid. Off. I got you, didn't I? Hey yo, pause, put the lotion away. Hey, I'm the Global Cherry, and today we'll be discussing the massive Xbox reset situation that's been ongoing this month. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe when it's over.
What's up, homie, huh?
After 25 years of minimal corporate oversight, Microsoft's top executives are finally demanding that Xbox becomes a sustainable business. Phil Spencer historically spent billions to make Gamepass the ultimate value play, their monthly revenue stream to supply different game visions. However, while the subscription hides incredible diamonds like Expedition 33, Doom, Skyrim, and Little Nightmares 2, you have to dig through a mountain of filler to find them. To me, Gamepass is like working a shift in a 19th century coal mine. You shovel through tons of coal for a single tiny diamond, immediately blow your winnings at a casino, go into debt, and head right back into the pits. You finish one great game, lose all your dopamine, and find yourself staring at the dashboard at 2 a.m., wondering if a farming simulator will make you feel alive again. However, the many studios that partnered with Xbox were essentially sitting on giant piles of cash without knowing how to grow a money tree. They had the funds to fuel their passion, but passion and studio acquisitions can only take you so far. There is a strict limit to nostalgia. Asha Sharma, who took over as CEO in February 2026, had initiated the gaming industry equivalent of Order 66.
There are too many of them. What are we going to do?
An internal email from Sharma and Satya Nadella revealed that Xbox had dropped to a brutal 3% profit margin. Microsoft spent $20 billion over the last 5 years on content and hardware investments, yet their annual revenue declined by $500 million during that time. The upcoming next-generation console, Project Helix, is looking even more expensive to build because storage and memory parts are costing multiple times than what they used to. Vice President Lori has already confirmed they sell consoles at a loss. This bleeding of cash simply cannot continue. So after Xbox spent years collecting studios just to pad out their subscription metrics, Sharma swooped in with a brand new strategy.
Execute Order 66.
She decided it was time to clean house, kicking them all out, and not just the men, but the women, and the indie developers too. Look at what happened with Ninja Theory. They showcased the third Senua game only for reports to break days later that the studio is facing total limbo and risking shutdown. Asha Sharma is trying to turn separate uncooperative studio silos into a unified fighting force. Instead of closing teams immediately, Xbox is pushing active negotiations for studios like Ninja Theory, Double Fine, and Compulsion Games to spin off. They can buy themselves back to become independent, find another publisher, or brace for closure. It sounds harsh, but it is exactly what Bungie did years ago to gain their freedom from Microsoft. It's just that their mistake was sleeping with Activision. Developers like George Broussard are already warning that the ZeniMax layoffs are just getting started, and they are going to run deep. Industry insiders like Sylvain Trinel are backing this up, noting that we are in the middle of a massive industry-wide bloodbath that's tracking to hit Don't Nod, Quantic Dream, and several other well-known studios next. Now, I already know what some of you are screaming at your screens right now. Why should these studios have to try and buy themselves back just to go independent if Microsoft is going to close them down anyways? And honestly, you're right. They should close right now for not making bank. I mean, let's be real. Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 absolutely sucked anyways. But in all seriousness, why would Microsoft give them even more funding to go independent when they couldn't even stay afloat with the games they already have? It makes zero sense. Though, if we are looking at this from a purely moral standpoint, wouldn't it at least be better to give these developers a chance to buy their freedom and fight for their own livelihoods? I do agree it is a bit sketchy to show a game they're not intending on releasing on Xbox, but at least they can look for someone to fund them aside from Xbox. Also, let's look at the math. Simon Pullman Coleman recently highlighted some mind-boggling development costs. South of Midnight reportedly cost over $100 million, approximately to develop, while only projecting around $500,000 in sales. Meanwhile, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 was a massive success with a $40 million budget and 5 million copies sold. Even Stellar Blade managed 6 million sales on a $50 million marketing budget. How does South of Midnight cost more than a massive substantial game like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2? Some of these studios have been handed massive amounts of pocket change and completely lost their footing. It's either that, or a sketchy executive at the top is quietly hoarding the budget to add more truffle flakes on their pasta. When abundant resources mean games take twice as long to make with zero return on investment, you shouldn't be surprised when you are shown the front door. Personally, I like the fact that this reset might potentially force the quality of games on Game Pass to improve, but I can also see how putting games on a subscription completely alters Xbox's incentive to sell. Microsoft reportedly gave up $300 million in direct sales by relying on Game Pass because millions of users just use their subscription instead. I mean, why buy a movie ticket at the theater when you can just watch it on Netflix and make your own popcorn? Sharma is also implementing major changes starting this July, which have been approved by Amy Hood and Satya Nadella. To keep next year's budget flat, Xbox is cutting lower priority projects to speed up the development of massive intellectual properties like Halo, Fallout, and The Elder Scrolls. Considering games take so long to make, I don't see this as a bad thing. We do gain something out of this. Thomas Mahler, the creator of Ori, mentioned that even when they worked with Xbox, the corporate focus was always heavily fixated on Halo, Gears, and Forza. The newer titles simply failed to capture that same cultural impact. Xbox is also shifting back to heavy exclusivity because that is what they can afford to prioritize right now. Games like Gears of War E-Day and Clockwork Revolution will remain exclusive, with plans to skip PlayStation and Nintendo launches. Honestly, I do not see why there are people raging about this. PlayStation hoards its own exclusives, so the strategy was eventually going to go both ways. Even Game Pass is transforming. Under Sharma, the service is shifting away from major day one launches. For example, future Call of Duty titles will reportedly skip the day one release entirely, arriving a full year after launch instead. But she dropped the Game Pass subscription cost, so it's cheaper to play on a wider selection. It is a bit of a double-edged sword, because moving away from day one drops may turn people away from Game Pass, even if it drastically helps Microsoft's profits if the strategy works. Sony actually understood this dynamic perfectly from the start by refusing to put their biggest games on the PlayStation Plus tier on day one, because they want people to buy them at full price. Their corporate greed has no limits, so they knew that by adding all their new releases to PS Plus for free, no consumer is ever going to think, let me consider paying $100 for this game.
My precious.
Even the way we play these games is becoming highly corporate. Wario64 recently reported on the rigorous account requirements for the updated Halo ecosystem. To play the Combat Evolved campaign and ensure cross-platform progression, you will need a Microsoft account and an Xbox gamer tag regardless of your platform. If you want to play split screen on a Series X, the second player needs a unique Microsoft account. Want online co-op? You need an active Game Pass subscription. Playing split screen on PlayStation 5? Both players must have PlayStation Plus and link up to separate Microsoft accounts. It is a massive amount of modern friction for classic experiences, but in the end, ultimately, this brutal reset had to happen. You can own all the best IPs in the world, but with the wrong management and bloated budgets, everything falls apart. At a certain point, there's only so much you can do beyond saying, you're an Xbox, I'm an Xbox, we are Xbox. Instead, Xbox is finally forcing studios to focus on what actually makes games sell, reducing development timelines and adjusting budgets to reality. Maybe this means we'll finally get games with more replayability, but what actually gives a game replayability? An extended lifespan? A multiplayer mode? Different ways to play? Or different outcomes? A game has to be incredibly convincing to get people to come back to it on Game Pass, and it's not even that complicated to think about. I can spend hours instilling fear in NPCs, running a nightclub, or tossing shovels in the air just just think about what makes you come back to a game. It is a tough time for the talented developers involved, but giving these studios a chance to buy themselves back and finding new publishers is a much better alternative to letting them vanish into the abyss, even if some of them do deserve it. What are your thoughts on the new Xbox strategy? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more deep dives. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye!